are.
Do crime scene analysts respond to the coroner's office for autopsies to document the body and collect any evidence that the doctor pulls out during the course of an autopsy?
Yes.
And were you present at the autopsy with Dave LeMaster for the autopsy of Tupac Shakur?
I was.
May I approach, Judge?
You may.
I'm going to start with state proposed exhibits 44 to, looks like 56 there. Just want you to flip through those.
So, I can't remember what my first number was. 44 through 54, are those all depictions of Mr. Shakur, well, his body bag, as well as Mr. Shakur during the course of the autopsy, documenting both tattoos and injuries to Mr. Shakur?
Yes, sir.
And then 55 and 56, it is two sides, I'll say, of what looks like a bullet and a fragment that was removed from his body at time of autopsy. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Now I'm going to show you what's been marked as State's Proposed Exhibit number 128. From looking at that, does that appear to be an impound done by Dave LeMaster from the autopsy of Mr. Shakur in September of 1996?
It is.
And flip it over here. Why don't you explain to ladies and gentlemen of the jury how evidence is collected?
So this is a typical evidence collection bag, and on the front there's information that you would complete and fill out that would be relevant to the investigation you're working on. So I know that this is David's paperwork. We are assigned a personnel number when we start the job, and David's personnel number was 4243 as his first initial, last initial, and that's about here in the center of this information. When we collect the evidence, we're supposed to put a seal in the reverse, and the seal has to remain intact throughout the investigation. That also has David's initial and personnel number and the date that was collected.
And so it appears that nobody's opened this since David impounded it 30 years ago.
That's correct.
Judge, I offer 44 through 56 and 128.
Any objection? They will be admitted.
Thank you. I pass the witness.
Okay. Cross-examination, Mr. Sampson.
Your Honor, I have no cross.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, any questions for this witness? Seeing none, thank you so much. Have a good day. You are excused, Mr. Quinn. Thank you, Dr. Gavin. Mr. DiGiacomo, you may proceed.
Doctor, how are you employed?
I am a forensic pathologist, medical examiner here in Clark County.
What does that mean you do for a living?
We determine the cause of death and the manner of death and sudden unexpected deaths.
And in order to hold the position that you do with the coroner's office,
State of Nevada, and I'm board certified in anatomic pathology and forensic pathology.
how long overall have you been a forensic pathologist?
This September it'll be about 17 years practicing here.
So I'm going to guess that 30 years ago you were not at the autopsy of Tupac Shakur.
No, I was in medical school.
Have you in the past had to come in and testify to your opinions as to cause and manner of death in cases where you weren't the actual examiner at the table?
Yes.
Explain why that would happen.
We have people that have retired. We have doctors that have died. We have doctors that have gone to other locations in the country.
So when you are asked to review, what is it that you get to review in order to form your opinions and conclusions?
Most often it would be the investigation report from our office. It would be the autopsy report from the forensic pathologist that did the case. It could be photographs associated with the case. Could be medical records associated with the case. Could be any consultations or the like associated with the case.
In this particular case, do you know who the examiner was?
Yes.
Who was it?
It was Dr. Jordan.
And Dr. Jordan is no longer with us, correct?
Correct. Dr. Jordan had passed away.
In addition to what,
Apology report as well.
did you also have an affidavit from Mr. Shakur's mother indicating that's her son and he's dead?
Yes.
And were there also postmortem fingerprints taken to confirm that information?
Yes.
After reviewing all of those records, do you have an opinion as to the cause of death of Mr. Shakur?
Yes.
And what is that?
He died of gunshot wounds of chest and abdomen.
And do you have an opinion as to the manner of death?
Yes.
And what is that?
Homicide.
When a medical examiner uses the term homicide, what does that mean?
The simplest form is death at the hands of another.
Thank you. I pass the witness.
Cross-examination, Mr. Sant.
Yes, Your Honor, thank you. Dr. Gavin, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good, thank you. Just a couple questions. Your testimony here today revolves really around your review of the record that was laid out 30 years ago.
Yes, that's correct.
And so, fair to say, of course, that keeping records would be very important in your line of work.
Yes.
In the event that in the future, something that you do while you're on vacation somewhere in the Bahamas could be testified to by another doctor.
That's correct.
Now, with regards to the records that you saw here, is it Dr.
Jordan.
Jordan? Was there anything missing in your review of those records in terms of record keeping or anything like that?
No, but we only took a few photos at the time of autopsy. At that time, they used Polaroids or they used film and cameras. And so we had few photos of the body itself. And so consequently, the crime scene analyst photos were helpful for being able to come to determination in addition to the reports.
Right. So the way we're able to explain it to the jury today is that you reviewed the record as well as any photographs that were taken at the time of the autopsy.
That's correct.
Okay. And once again, going back again to my original question, though, is that was there anything at all in review of Dr. Jordan's records or record keeping that would have indicated to you something that should have been done differently with regard to Dr. Jordan's work?
No, nothing that I could see in my review.
Okay, and fair enough to say, though, that you're not really there to critique his work as much as it is to relay what you read in the record to a jury like the people that we have here today.
But that's fair.
And once again, a critical review of someone's record is a little bit different compared to just reading what was done and then relaying that to a jury.
Yes.
Okay. What is the difference?
I think the scrutiny that you can utilize in those kind of details may be something that becomes relevant for a particular case.
Right. So, for instance, if there was some issue, some dispute over whether or not he was given adequate medical treatment, that would be something for another day, for another topic, and another type of review, right?
That would be for somebody that actually does treatment of bodies. I'm a forensic pathologist, so I'm a medical examiner, so I review people after they've died. So that would be treatment related to whomever does that type of treatment.
Now, would you have been able to do this type of review if Dr. Jordan had not kept an adequate record of his efforts?
It depends on what you have available for review.
Say, for instance, there's no record at all. He doesn't do a record, he does some work, but you don't have anything other than maybe the pictures in this case. Would that be enough of a review for you?
Photographs can be very helpful in terms of determining what happened to the body, and then in terms of where the locations of injuries are, based on my knowledge of anatomy in the body, I can definitely generate opinions based on that.
Sure, but with regards to, say, his work in general, outside of the fact that you could point out location of where there's entry and exit wounds, for instance, from a bullet, outside of that, would you be able to tell this jury exactly what Dr. Jordan had done with regards to his autopsy?
What he did for his exact procedures, no.
Okay. And in the event that you don't even have that, say, for instance, you're coming in here today, and the question is, well, did Tupac Shakur die of bullet wounds? Would that be something that you could just tell a jury like this without even looking at a record or photographs?
We would need some kind of record in order for me to be able to generate an opinion, or some kind of photographs for me to be able to generate an opinion.
And fair to say then, once again, that in your line of work, record keeping, record writing is critical to maintain the integrity of what you do as a coroner.
Yes.
No further questions, Your Honor. Thank you.
Any redirect, Mr. DiGiacomo?
Man, Mr. Sam suggested, and I just want to make it clear, you're not regurgitating Dr. Jordan's opinions. You formulated your own opinions as to cause and manner of death.
That is correct.
Thank you. That's perfect.
One final question based on what
course.
you're talking about. And fair to say, though, in order for you to do that, you have to rely on Dr. Jordan's documentation of what he did.
I relied on his documentation as well as the other documentation that I talked about, which was medical records as well as photographs.
Thank you. No further questions, Your Honor.
Security surveillance and investigations.
Were you requested to come here to authenticate some video that was collected well back in 1996 from the MGM?
Yes, I was.
And have you had a chance to see any of that surveillance?
Yes, I have.
Okay. Did MGM keep a copy as well?
Yes, they have.
Okay, so you reviewed that.
Yes.
Judge, I have in my hand stage proposed exhibit number 115, which is that video I'd offer.
Any objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
Okay, that'll be admitted.
So I have 3 different camera views, more than 3 different files, I'll call it, that we're going to talk about. But back in 1996, can you describe the type of surveillance system we're looking at? Like, how is it, what medium was it originally recorded on?
At that time, it was recorded on VHS.
And did MGM reuse tapes every so often?
Yes.
And so when you reuse tape, did you lose quality each time you kind of reused it over and over again?
Yes, the quality deteriorated.
So, unlike today that's digital, some of these views that we're going to watch, it's going to be pretty hard to facially identify anybody. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So I want to start with... Go ahead. I think you were an officer whose name you couldn't quite figure out.
The unidentified BNL was questioned by myself and Officer Gamba on the side of Coyote Cafe. The BMA was very uncooperative on answering our questions. While questioning the BMA, he continually kept looking over his shoulder towards the north key check point. It was seconds thereafter when I noticed a large group of BMAs force their way through the North Key checkpoint. The large group of BMAs, approximately 20, were running right in our directions. As they got close to, when I got close to the BMA that was being questioned, started to run south towards the elevator core. Around 5 or 6 BMAs from the group caught up with the single BMA, grabbed him, punched him, and knocked him to the.
That's probably far enough.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. I have no more questions.
Okay, Mr. Sam, any?
You let us know when you see yourself.
I see myself.
All right. And which of the 3 officers we have on scene there are you?
One with the dark hair, my back, well, it was dark back then. My back is towards the camera facing the gentleman that has the merino jersey on.
Eventually, if we watch this video, you have a conversation with this individual, correct?
Yes, I did.
And at that time, did you ask him to identify himself?
Yes, I did.
How did he identify himself?
He identified himself through a California driver's license, which security had in their possession and gave to me.
Back then, this is just the fight call and he's the victim, correct?
We thought he was a victim, yes.
And so, did you talk to him about whether or not he wished to press charges or be involved? Describe that for us.
Yes, I asked him first if he needed medical assistance, and he refused. He said he was fine. I then asked him what happened, and he told me basically that a couple of guys that he didn't know jumped him. And once again, I asked him if he needed medical. He said no. I asked if he wanted to file a report, and he said no.
At that point, was he released and free to go on his way?
Yes, he was.
Later on that evening, did you learn about a shooting involving Tupac Shakur?
Yes, I did.
And then were you asked to then draft a report as to what your interaction was with Mr. Anderson?
Yes, I was.
And at that time, what name did you remember for Mr. Anderson?
It was Orlando. I remember his first name.
Is it anything unusual that when a victim gets attacked and doesn't want to press charges or write a report, for you not to have written a report that night?
No, it's not. Basically, if you don't have a victim, you don't have a crime, as we put it, which isn't necessarily true. You always have a crime. But if you don't have a victim, the chances of prosecution, you won't get any information, and so we don't take a report if the victim refuses.
It's only afterwards, the incident that occurs a couple hours later, you then go back from memory and write down what you recall from this incident.
Yes, I did.
And you were able to remember his first name as Orlando.
Yes.
Nothing further.
Cross, Mr.
Yes, northwest corner.
Sometime prior to 11:17 p.m., were you engaged in an investigation with some Metro officers?
Yes, I had 2 Metro officers with me, and we were looking for stolen vehicles. There were 5 or 6 Dodge Caravans that were stolen out of our parking garage that night.
And where were you located when something unusual did happen?
Well, I was on the ramp of the 3rd floor of the parking garage on the southeast side of the property.
And while you were there, describe what you hear.
Well, the 2 officers, another security officer and I were standing around one Dodge Caravan, and we just suddenly heard a lot of gunfire. And we ran to the barrier wall that was overlooking Koval Boulevard, not Koval, Flamingo Boulevard, and that's when I witnessed what I saw.
So you hear a bunch of shots. Do you have any idea how many you heard?
It sounded like a lot.
1 volley, 2 volleys?
3 volleys.
3 volleys.
Yes.
You heard. And when you say a lot, I mean, to some people, can you put any sort of number on it?
I had 3 to 4, maybe even 5 each volley. It was a series of pops.
Somewhere between 9 and 15 shots in a series.
Something like that.
You said after the shots fired, you guys ran to the retaining wall.
Yes.
I assume you ducked for cover at first.
No, because I was armed, so I was leaning over the retaining wall to see what I could see.
And when you look over the wall, what do you see?
I see a line of vehicles in the left straight lane on Flamingo heading east, and there's several vehicles. There was a white Dodge Stratus at the front, a black BMW behind it, another dark car, and I believe another car, and then there was a white Chevy Suburban behind that, and several more cars.
Do you see anybody outside of those vehicles?
Yeah, there were a number of people standing outside of the vehicles in the traffic lanes.
And do you see any of them armed?
One gentleman was armed, one black male adult, very young, well-dressed. He was wearing a very bright white 3/4 sleeve shirt, black pants, and a black dress vest.
And at the time that you see him, is he firing his weapon?
No, he's not, but he does have the weapon in his hand. It was an automatic weapon, automatic pistol.
Semi-automatic pistol?
Yes.
And is he holding it down? Is he pointing it in a direction?
He wasn't pointing it in any direction. It was kind of just off to his side.
What do you see this caravan of cars do?
Well, I looked back because the Metro officers jumped in their cars to pursue. And then when I turned around, everyone was back in their cars again. And they made a U-turn heading west on Flamingo towards Las Vegas Boulevard.
All of the cars in the caravan?
Yes.
And so you see them make a U-turn at Koval and head back towards Las Vegas Boulevard.
Correct.
And those vehicles, you saw the two Metro officers you were with jump in their vehicle to give chase to that caravan.
Correct.
At the time that you're out there and you see somebody with a gun, you've just heard shots fired, is it the conclusion you originally drew that that person was your suspect?
Yes, yeah, that's what I deduced at the time.
And based upon the officers following that caravan, that's a reasonable assumption that they deduced that as well.
Right. They asked me what direction they were going. They rolled down their windows and were asking me what direction everybody went, and so I pointed to make a right and head towards Las Vegas Boulevard.
And those officers then went after the caravan.
Correct.
Objection as to speculation.
What's your response?
Well, he watched them do it. He didn't
Okay.
testify. Did he testify that? Did you watch
Lay
the
some more
officers?
foundation.
Did you watch the officers go after that caravan?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, sir. I trust the witness.
Okay.
At about 11:17 p.m. On September 7th of 1996, where were you?
We were conducting enforcement activity kind of northeast of the location of Koval and Flamingo.
And did something catch your attention?
Yes, as we were out with a couple, 2-3 gang members, we heard over the radio an officer rather excited, certainly under a stressful situation, reporting shots being fired and requesting a code red on the radio. We weren't very far away, so we cut the guys loose that we were with, got in our vehicles, and with lights and siren, we went over to respond to the area of the Maxim Hotel.
When an officer calls out code red, what does that mean? What is he trying to do?
The code red is so that no other radio traffic is coming across except for what those officers are going through. So it's trying to keep the radio traffic to a minimum. So we didn't even announce that we were en route. That's not important for dispatch or really anybody else to know that we were on our way, because we're waiting for updates from that officer or from the officers involved. So we stay off the radio. It's a sacred thing. You don't break the code red unless you really have to get on the radio.
And where do you respond to?
We responded to the intersection of Koval and Flamingo right there at the Maxim Hotel. Now it's called the Westin. But we went into the parking lot on the south side of the Maxim, and where we saw a patrol unit.
At some point, do you walk out onto Flamingo? Well, let me ask you this. When you first arrive, is there traffic still driving eastbound on Flamingo?
Yes, I mean, nothing's changed so far as traffic at that point, because whatever had happened was several minutes before that. So now people are still just driving by. We got to the parking lot. My Sergeant Cindy West, had inquired as to where the shots had come from, and we were able to look out into the street there on Flamingo, just west of Koval, and I saw in the headlights just little glints of light and recognized that. I spent plenty of time on a firing range, and I know what brass looks like on the ground. So we were able to determine where several cartridge cases were located in the street west of Koval on Flamingo.
I'm going to approach and show you State's Proposed Exhibit 34 to 41. Top of it. And you said you remember at least one of them was mangled.
Mm-hmm. This one's flattened on the opening opposite of the headstand. It's flattened, so it's been run over.
And there appears to be at least one more of these that has some damage to it. And several of them have damage to them.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
They're definitely misshapen. A couple of them are. This is actually the closest that I've seen them, because when we came out, we just put the cones right over the top of them, didn't mess with them at all. So I'm able to now look at even the primary impacts, which is significant.
Why is that significant?
Because a Glock pistol has a rectangular opening for the firing pin, it's vertically oriented on the front of the bolt face for a Glock pistol, and you can tell by looking at the primer impact that that's roughly the shape of the impact on the primer.
So that suggests to you that the weapon was a Glock 40.
That's correct. Now, before 11:20, we were already there at the scene. So at about a little bit past 11:30, we got an update on the rough description of a light-colored Cadillac. I know at some point on the CAD report it said late 90s. It had to be late 80s, right? This is 96. And there was also some indication that it was in good condition, which would say that it was an older vehicle than late 90s, right? So we were looking for a light-colored, possibly white Cadillac with two black male occupants. And there was a report that it was northbound on Audrey, which now Audrey Lane is the Link, right? It's the Link lane. So it's on the west side of the Maxim going north. There was some report that possibly that's where the suspect vehicle had gone.
So initial report says light color Cadillac, last seen northbound on Audrey.
Right, with two black males at that point.
Do you wind up getting updates throughout the evening as to the vehicle you're looking for?
We did. I'd say it was about an hour or so, about 1:45 maybe, right around that time, that we got an update that we were looking for that same white Cadillac in good condition, but potentially occupied now by four black males, and was southbound on Koval. That later made a little bit more sense to us, especially that we were out on the eastbound lanes of Koval, right just short of the intersection, and that the Cadillac had to have been to the south of the BMW, and it made more sense that they would have made a right turn. So that definitely clicked when we were told they were southbound on Koval.
Does there come a point in time when you do what's known as an ATL or attempt to locate that particular vehicle?
Yes. Thankfully, because Dan Ford was not too far away, we were able to get relieved from our protection of the crime scene where the cartridge cases were located. And I think we cleared exactly an hour after the initial code red was called. And that was the first thing that we did we went south on Koval, we checked areas that we frequented in the gang unit looking for potentially really any light colored Cadillac. I mean, the kind of the yellowish lights that we have in town, the street lights that they use for low, so it's not too much light in town. Those can kind of throw you off on color. So we were looking for any light colored Cadillac.
We'll put back up State's Exhibit 1. During all this time period that you and your partner ATL'd for this white Cadillac, did you ever drive into the parking lot of the carriage house?
No, I can say that in my 35 years, I've never been in the carriage house.
Thank you. I pass the witness.
Standing, so we were able to just go back and redo that interview and then put that into the case file, even though it was missing.
And you sort of said this, but in a lot of those case files, law enforcement knows what they believe to be the story. They just don't have the witnesses to present in a courtroom to establish the crime beyond a reasonable doubt.
No question. I would say, especially during my 2 years in investigation in the gang unit, also the 2 years on the RICO task force that we were involved in, we were dealing with gang-related crimes, and there were many cases where we had something happen with, we knew 50 people around, right? There were 50 people there, and you start talking to witnesses, and everybody has the same statement. I heard shots, I ran, and the police stopped me for no reason, right? So you don't get that level of cooperation because people are afraid. right? People maybe think because they think gangs might be involved, they don't want to say anything, they keep it to themselves, and, they live with the fact that they didn't help, right? But then with cold case, we were able to come back to some of these older cases where now that, that young gang member that might have had 7% body fat back then and was, in his prime and was scary is now an older toothless, bulldog, that's resting in the shade. So people are not afraid to now come forward and say, yeah, I was there, I saw it, I know exactly who did it, and I can prove it. So we were able to solve some cases like that, which was good.
And you even mentioned a situation where you read through the file, you're like, I know who did it. You flew to Toledo and he confessed.
Correct.
And that can happen in cold cases as well.
Yes, it does, thankfully.
Nothing further.
Mr. DeJacomo, are you?
Indeed.
Thank you, Mr. McDonald. Mr. Paul, whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. McDonald, it's fair to say that you're here because of a court order. Is that right? Right. That you didn't volunteer to come or anything like that?
Not at all.
Okay. But you were instructed by a court that you had to attend.
Yes.
I want to ask you about September 7th, 1996. Were you at Club 662?
Yes.
What was Club 662?
It was a club that Suge bought, and we operated it. When he opened, I was head of security through the neighborhood. Just a place to go and hang out.
Did the number 662 mean anything?
Well, to the new guys, that was part of our neighborhood, 662,
Okay.
MOB.
Okay, MOB. And when you say MOB, there used to be, before Apple iPhones and those types of things, when you had to have landlines and you pressed numbers, 662, there would be letters under those numbers, and M and O would be under 6. Is that right?
Right.
And B would be under 2?
Yes.
So 662 would be MOB.
Yes.
Okay. Find out. Well, let me ask you this: was Reggie with you when you found out that Tupac and Suge were shot?
Yes.
And did it appear to you in any way that Reggie Wright Jr. was coordinating the murder of Tupac Shakur?
Impossible.
I mean, and I say this because you're aware that there have been some conspiracy theories that Reggie Wright Jr. is responsible for the murder of Tupac.
And it's so not true. His father was implicated, and his father had something to do with it. Reggie Wright used to be a police officer. And here again, I've been knowing Reggie Wright over 50 years. His daddy, as a police officer, patrolling my neighborhood. He done took me to jail many times when I messed up. If Reggie killed Tupac, then death row is over with. Tupac was the money source. Tupac was that guy at death row. So Reggie would have had a problem if he would have did that. And Suge, I truly believe Suge would have opened his mouth if Reggie betrayed him like that. So people say what they want to say. Yeah.
But are you aware of why Orlando was targeted?
I'm aware of a lot of things. Things that was going on. People ain't talked about it in 30 years. Today ain't one of them. I don't mean to be funny, but here's the thing. A lot of things happened that night. A lot of things happened weeks and weeks after that night. Me or anybody else bringing up the dead is wrong. A lot of people got hurt behind this situation in itself. Living the life and how we lived in Compton is one thing. you bring back all of the guys that made it, like me, I'm 61 years old now, to rehash and relive this situation again. I told every attorney in here that tried to get me to come here, you better treat me as a hostile witness. And I think that's where I'm about to go now, because you're asking me questions. I can't answer those questions.
Okay, well, let me ask you this. Then I'm not going to speak on Orlando. Let me ask you something about yourself. There was a rumor that Tupac had knocked you out one time.
I'd have killed him.
That would have been your response if that happened.
Yeah, I'm being honest with you and everybody else. I said it on my podcast show. Him, Suge, and my brother. I'd have shot all three of them if he touched me. That's how I was living.
Why is that?
That's what I was back then.
And so, is it fair to say that your reputation and your standing in the neighborhood would require you to do something if you're going to get punked by somebody like Tupac?
You don't have a choice, or you can't be there.
Overruled. I'm sorry. We're doing some side talking. No, that's my fault. I asked, that being in the life that you were, if somebody like Tupac is punking you, like by punching you in the face or something like that, you would have to retaliate, or you would lose your place in the neighborhood.
You would have to go back home and fight everybody that called you a punk. You would have to go. There's some rules that you roll with, and some rules you just got to handle. Certain things need to be dealt with, adjusted, living that life. And
at the time you live in Compton, you go back to Compton, and you tell us that there was a lot of tension. Can you describe that for us when you went back in terms of what kind of tension we're talking about?
You sure you want me to answer that?
Is it going to be graphic?
No, I ain't gonna. I got to raise the word in it, but you asking me a question. I don't. And what I explained to them, I don't want to send him to prison.
Sure.
Even though we don't like each other.
Sure.
I don't want to send you to prison. So that's why I'm here where I'm at and the way I am, because I changed my life. I'm raising my grandkids, teaching them never to be like their papa. And here I am explaining to people what I used to be. And I'm not proud of that. I'm not proud of that at all. And you asking me questions that can hurt him. And like I told them, I'm trying to avoid to answer the questions that they might look at me and say, something is wrong.
Well, let me put it this way. Let me help you out with this.
Thank you.
So these people right here, what they want to know from you is, did you see who shot Tupac?
I told you no.
Correct. So outside of that question, right, the next question I'm asking you is, when you went back to Compton, was it like a Southside Crip shoots a Pyru Blood, and then a Pyru Blood shoots a Southside Crip? Is that the tension that we're talking about?
Do I answer this?
That's a straightforward question. It's a yes or no answer.
Okay.
Did you see that?
When I was a part of that life, I was a part of that. And I was, no, because you asking something that's going to hurt this dude. And okay, let me stop.
And once again, I want to emphasize.
When we got back to Compton,
okay,
it was a gang war. People were getting hurt.
Okay.
People was being sought. People were looking for certain individuals from his neighborhood.
Okay.
As well they did mine.
Okay.
But Orlando, him, and certain other people were being sought because people wanted to kill them.
Sure. Were they the only ones that they wanted to kill?
Am I the only one up in here? No, they weren't the only one. Okay. It's his neighborhood in particular.
That's right.
But they were the main subjects of a gang war. They was in the middle, such as me.
So you're telling.
All right, I have a question for you from one of our jurors, if you can answer it. Did Reggie Wright Jr. instruct security to not have firearms the night of the fight?
To be honest, I don't know if Reggie Wright told his people, all the police officers, not to have guns, and I don't know why. He sure didn't tell us because we had ours. And that's the honest truth.
All right. Any follow-up based on that, State?
No, Your Honor.
Defense?
I just want to clarify what the witnesses said. You're telling us that you had guns that night.
Yeah.
I just want to know. But you had guns that night, right?
Yes, we did.
All right, thank you.
All right, State. I know you didn't want to be here, but thank you for coming down.
Okay, can I say something? I want to apologize to everybody, but I find this kind of funny. And truthfully, what you're going through, brother, is what you're going through. I didn't want to be a part of that, and I'm not a part of that. So I appreciate everything, and I apologize to all of you guys.
Okay, thank you, Mr. McDonald. You are free to go. State's next witness.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
Do you mind if I call you Reggie?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Sir, where did you grow up?
I grew up in the city of Compton, California. I was born and raised there until about the age of 19.
And who is your father? Who's your father?
My father is Reginald Wright Sr.
And where did your father work?
He worked for the city of Compton Police Department.
And at some point, had he risen up the ranks of the Compton Police Department to become a lieutenant, is it, of gangs?
Eventually captain, but during most of his career was a lieutenant.
Where did you ultimately become a police officer yourself?
Yes, sir.
When was that?
I was a civilian jailer from 1985 until 1989, and then I became a police officer from 1989 until I retired in 1996.
And why did you retire?
I received a medical retirement for I have vascular necrosis in my right ankle, but that's not why I'm like this. This is a result of COVID.
After you left the Compton PD or took your medical retirement, where did you next work?
Well, to be honest, my last year or two of being a police officer, I was employed as death row security, head of security, and also had a private security company.
Now, was that something that was called like moonlighting, that officers would moonlight when they were off duty?
Yes, sir.
Can you explain to us what moonlighting means when you're off duty?
Well, moonlighting is pretty much just working off duty on your off duty hours, working for different companies. I worked for several companies. It wasn't just death row. I worked for trucking companies, doing security. Worked at a nightclub, the Raiders Club, that was inside of the Compton Hotel. Worked several video shoots. Just extra money on the side for off duty.
Compton PD wasn't paying good?
Guess I was really young. 7, sir.
1997.
Yes, that's correct.
So Suge Knight is in Las Vegas, and you were with him every single day, and in September of 1996, he just happened to get in this fray, and next thing you know, he's going to prison, right?
I'm sorry?
Let me ask you this. Why did Suge go to prison?
He violated his probation.
Right. So you knew, of course, that he was on probation, right? Before
The whole time I was with him.
You did?
From 1994, yes.
Yeah. And so you knew that the number one person from Death Row Records, the primary principal for you, potentially could go to prison if he got into a fight, for instance, right?
Correct.
And on this particular night, you weren't around for him when he was in this quote-unquote fight, right?
I was around with Mr. Knight about 70 to 80% of his life. So I guess a lot of 20%, I wasn't with him.
Okay.
Public, and when I say that, I mean public. Because a lot of times he laid up, sleep with somebody, and I wasn't with him.
So in the most important time of Suge Knight's life, of having your protection, you weren't there for him.
Unfortunately not. That's correct.
And then you became the general manager of Death Row Records.
By his calling, not anyone else.
All right. No further questions.
All right. State, any further?
Now, you are aware that at the time that Mr. Knight Suge was involved in this thing that happened in Las Vegas and finally gets revoked on probation, that his record label was valued somewhere around, what, $500 million?
I heard 3, but
okay.
It was up there.
Right, so it's a pretty significant asset, right?
Correct.
Now, out of all of this, you are the general manager, you have access to all of that.
I guess I was the one he trusted at the time.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Mr. Wright. You are excused and you're free to go.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.